Hey everybody, hey, my name's Mike Wheeler. I'm out here on Burma Road this morning, and I'm going to show you guys the road in question. So this has come to my attention from working with Ed Larson out here. Our address is the 12306 South Burma. We're been out here for a couple years now, working on turning this into a homestead, a property that we can pass on to our kids. So there's a lot to our availability to the different roads and the different access points out here. From everything from our cranberry picking to foraging for mushrooms and fun stuff like that. So I just kind of wanted to give you a little reference on where we're at. Right down the road, right there, is where the new overpass was put in for the dog sled trails. And so down that way is going to be the Wasilla side. That way is the Big Lake side. And so to show you guys exactly what we're talking about here, behind me you'll see the entrance to this road. And my understanding is, after reading all the legal paperwork that's been put together and everything, is this is supposed to be a 20-foot wide road, which I'm not sure how got changed from the original on that, other than there was just the corridor that got pushed through. But more so, this is supposed to be a 25-foot road that allows for two regular vehicles to pass on. As you can see, this is not that at all. I wouldn't drive my truck down this because it'd scratch the living tar out of it. I have my four-wheeler down the road a little ways I'm going to use to get across some of the more difficult areas, the deeper puddles and stuff like that, because I can't actually fully walk this road without getting wet and all that kind of fun stuff. I'm going to use a drone to do this. And here again, I'm putting this together for the civil case that's going on with Mr. Larson. Property staying on the trail only because I'm not going to trespass. But the thing I want you guys to note is that supposedly, my understanding from the paperwork I've read, is supposedly Ed knocked down some trees, and the other party's looking for $10,000 in compensation for some knocked down trees. I've ridden this road a few times now, and I cannot find for the life of me where said trees are knocked down. The other thing to be mindful of too is when the construction was being done down the road down here, these guys were bringing in heavy equipment, and they cut that road access fully off. So all the people that utilize Burma Road every single day were required to use this. So not only did they maintain damage to their own personal vehicles, but then we also had unauthorized weighted vehicles coming across this because the construction company was using heavy equipment and trailers going down this pathway. So let's get into this. I'm going to do some footage real quick. In certain spots, I'll probably speed it up a little bit. And if anybody needs the full link stuff, my contact information is 907-360-7771 is direct to my cell. Or you can reach me via email at Mike, M-I-K-E, at akcs.pro. AK as in Alaska, CS as in computer support.pro as in professional. So once again, that's Mike at akcs.pro. Feel free to reach out to me, ask me for any of the original footage and all that kind of fun stuff. Other than that, I'm going to go ahead and get this going and get this posted up to YouTube so everybody can get access and see this before the court date coming up. Hope you all have a wonderful day and hope this all finds you. Hey guys, just a quick add-in video here as I finish this up to get this pushed out before our upcoming court date. I just wanted to note a couple things. I've gone back through this. You'll see some photos and some more video coming in at the end, which has been added on. I got the opportunity to go walk this with Ed. As I did the path, you can see different tracks and different push-ups and things like that. When you look at those tracks, there's pretty thin tracks. And in part of the video ladder, you'll see where we go and measure the track. And then we measure Ed's track. Ed's dozer is huge. And so the other thing with this too is that Ed only walked this with his dozer in one direction, and all of the all the knockdown areas go in the other direction. And then the other thing too is I've worked with Ed for quite a while. He's helped me out on my property and stuff like that. It costs money. Ed, we have a great relationship and stuff like that. But still, he charges me money to do any kind of work that he's doing because gas is like $5 a gallon, and those things eat fuel. So food for thought there. I don't think that there's any grounds to this case. Of course, that's not for me to decide. But this idea that Ed came through and cleaned up this road, of which is not cleaned up at all. This road needs so much work, and especially with the new proposal for the changes to Burma, because if they do go through and start to pave this, we're going to need these secondary accesses, and we really need the property owners here, as well as the borough, to get out and maintain this road the way it's supposed to be maintained. And so I hope, if nothing else, that is the outcome of this, that this road now becomes a point of interest to get put to where it needs to be, and not just for our daily transits, but also for emergency vehicles. We need this for fire. We need this for ambulance. So, anyways, let's get this rolling. This is one of the first places we'll start to see where there is a widening of the road. It's hard to tell when these different widening events have happened. I found these to primarily be on the right-hand side of the road. There's so much overhang on this road. I was having to do a lot of correction and flying the drone, as well as there was a lot of other issues in regards to just getting down the trail. Here on the right-hand side, you can see some more knockover. Really hard to tell what that came from. On the left-hand side here, we just see a natural kind of dip back in with that. That is not a knockover point, at least from what I can tell. A lot of this is also so old. It's just really hard to tell what's been happening here. How many years ago did this happen, or is it a natural occurrence, or what? One thing I definitely want to point out is look how narrow this trail is, and what kind of difficulties folks must have been having while having to use this with commercial, or not commercial, but just personal vehicles. In this section here, I started to run into issues with overhang. A little bit farther down the road, I actually ran into an issue where I crashed the drone because the tree limbs were hanging out too far. One thing that's super common to see, like you'll see here on the right-hand side, are fallen trees. High winds come through frequently, and they just push them right over. The root structures out here are super shallow, and so you'll see some of these laying on the right-hand side there. Definitely done by nature. Here we are in one of the larger spots, and by looking at this, it's hard to tell if it was like vehicles backing up into this area or what knocked some of this down that's been down. It's also hard to tell how long this has been this way. There's a lot of growth here. We have everything from the moss to the just low-lying stuff that's all grown back on top of everything. And so it's really tricky to tell what this came from. This is also one of the first spots where the road actually seems like it's wide enough for two vehicles to pass. Here you can see how the overgrowth is just basically covering everything. I am in the middle of the woods. Here we see another area where it looks like it would be a reasonable spot for people to pass. This definitely looks like it was pushed back by some machinery. As you can see here, you can see the substumps on that. And the only reason why I say that it was actually done by machinery here is because when you start to look at this a little bit, I believe you can see some super old tracks in the dirt. But the other thing to note here is on the left-hand side of this is another trail that was made by someone that cuts back down into the property. Did not go down that trail, only stayed on the primary trail here. I don't know where that goes or whose that is or anything else of that nature. Lots of no trespassing signs, so I was respecting that all day. And then additionally, I just wanted to point out that the audio from the drone was not actually recording, so that's why I'm doing the overlays now. This is also where you can see that all of the pushover is going in the opposite direction of the way that Ed moved this, as well as the tracks that we see out here, which I'll show some photos later of, are the wrong size. This is an interesting spot here. And some of the other places we can see some tracks from a track vehicle. In this spot here, though, this whole back bank looks like it was pushed up by having a trailer run back into it. And I say that because it looked like normal tire tracks, not a tracked vehicle. And it looked like it just kind of, something got lodged. But here again, this is all, there's a lot of overgrowth on this. This does not look fresh by any means. And it's just, we're in the middle of the woods, folks. As I pan to the right, you're going to see some pushback that looks like it was super, super old a long time ago. And then what I'm going to be pointing out here is where there's just a lot of natural fallen trees, and where the trail's just kind of really bunked up with all these trees. But you can see also where people have come in and cut down and done some maintenance on this. I'm not real sure. I mean, there's no way to tell who's been doing that, but here again, this road gets used. So people are going to need to be cleaning it up. And we'll see here in just a little bit too, to where the road is 100% blocked. And since the time of this recording, I have not been back down to see if it's still blocked. But we'll see that here in just a minute, to where it basically made the road totally impassable. Here's another one of the passing spots, right-hand side. Looks like it's super, super old and just kind of hard to tell, who, what, when, where on pushing that back. You can see like this one has a ton of growth over the top of it. But that was definitely something that was done at one point, 10, 15, 20 years ago. Take note of the four-wheeler just for reference, so you can see how wide this is, and just, imagine a regular car or truck going down this trail, let alone trying to pass on this trail. What a struggle. Here we see where more down trees, more than likely by wind, have been cleaned up by different people going down this road. My understanding, and I'll put some links into the documentation, but I did find the court orders that says that this road is supposed to be maintained by the borough and the property owner, and that it's supposed to maintain that 20-foot distance for emergency access. So we can see that that's an issue that we're going to also have to address at some point here soon. And luckily we do have these clearing spots, so two vehicles can pass and things like that. So you'll notice that there's small cuts in this video. Basically what that is that I would fly the drone ahead of me, stop it, drive up to it, and then take the drone off again. I had to change batteries. I crashed the drone in one spot. And so there's some different cut points, and that's what those are from. Here we come into the end of our adventure for the day. That tree is just too big to be able to go around. And so the other thing with this is not just some small road. This road goes all the way from Burma down to Connect. And just, I'm not sure the timestamp that we're at right here, but there is it takes a minute to get down this. So I don't want to just keep on going on and on and on with all these anomalies and, trying to understand what's, historic, what might have been done recently, and who, there's no way to know who did what with it, if it was some of the heavy equipment that was brought to this area, or one of many people that drive this. We've been out here for quite a few years. I do have game cams set up, as well as we do 24/7, 365 monitoring our property. Do the best we can with our power. And the traffic that comes down Burma Road is very surprising to me. I easily see anywhere from a dozen to 24 vehicles a day. And that's just on the main Burma Road. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop shooting here. I already went through one whole battery on my drone. My drone was having a lot of issues getting down the trail just because the debris hangs so far over. There's proximity warning, so it doesn't run into trees. I actually did hit a tree and crash it at one point. I'm sure you guys can see that in here. And I wanted to show you what stopped me. So here we have some trees that's fallen over. You can see a big root ball there. And then here the road is fully blocked. I'm just glad that we don't have an emergency situation going on here or anything of that nature. So this is definitely something I'm glad that's getting addressed. And I'm looking forward to a positive win-win outcome for everybody.
Okay, the question is how are all dozer tracks 16 inches wide, and on my tractor, they're 24 inches wide, and I was traveling from west to east, one pass, no blade down. And this, all the brush, everything is pushed to the west. It's all going the wrong way.
Yep.
I admitted that I went through here, but I didn't break any laws.
What are we looking at, Ed?
Well, 10 foot's way over here about where my toe is at. That's what she's got marked as center.
Okay.
So the question is how are you going to drive over this?
Sure.
And then
Well,
we go to the end of the tape over here. And that's 10 feet.
yeah, you can see how far off in the brush that is.
Huh?
And you can see how far off in the brush that is. I mean, look how tight this is. Yeah.
And here's those 16-inch tracks again, see?
Yep. And everything's going,
To the west.
yeah. So,
Here, I
yeah.
can turn this around.
no, it's all good. We got 34 inches on that. But also just look.
So the pads are 34 inches. So total pad on the ground is 68. Hold that right there. Let's go to the width.
Yeah, and look at that compared to the side-by-side that was parked on the trail.
So the width from outside of the track to outside of the track is 10 feet.
Yeah.
And the pads are 34 inches.
And then also those push-ups. No way. This would have been such a bigger push-up. And trying to turn this around on that trail? No way.
No, not without making a great big mess. Go down to the corner bed. Okay. Yeah, we need to go to the corner bed. Okay, corner bit to corner bit is 13 feet,
Yeah.
6, 7 inches.
Yeah. There's no way.